Am I good? Am I live? Can you hear me? Let me refresh this thing, make sure we're good, and make sure we can start the show. So let me go one more time, refresh. Man, a lot of ads. Get this out of the way and make sure the sound is off so that we are live and good. And looks like we are live. Now it's official. Ready to go. Miguel says, "What's up, Glenn?" Let me get some water before we start this. All right, that helps a little bit. Mess with this microphone. All right, I'm gonna try to go live on Instagram for a little bit, even though it looks a little bit weirder on there. So let me see, live. Let's see, start live video, checking connection. Here we go. And let's see. Oh man, okay. All right, and we're live on Instagram too. So it looks like we're good. Nick says can't hear you. Can you hear me? Fig915, we need emoji spinners. It's hilarious. So it looks like people are joining up on Instagram. Josh says, "Hey man, Josh, can you hear me?" And Fig915, can you hear me? And same thing on Instagram if they can hear me out there. So today's topic: Ross finds versus garage sales. Which is better for newbies? And Adriana says, "Can't see anything." Hopefully you can. Hopefully you guys can see me on there. And same thing for Instagram. So Nick says, "Hey, man." So before we start, I'm going to remind everybody, not only now, but in the middle of the show, if you go to hustlerhacks.com/meetup, if you are in Phoenix, El Paso, Dallas area, I'm trying to just get a head count and see what I'm going to do for those areas. I want to do some type of cool meetup. Might be like, obviously, I want to do some type of giveaways, something cool for the subscribers out there. So, Phoenix, El Paso, Dallas, sign up, put in your first and last name, your email address, so I can just get a rough head count, see what I'm going to do for those areas: Phoenix, El Paso, Dallas. Hustlerhacks.com/meetup. All right, I'll even put that into the comments right here in the live chat, and you can go to that if you can. So I think on Monday's video, Chris, the Bonafide Hustler, we had him, and I went over there to Austin, and we went to garage sales. Now, I haven't really been to garage sales in a good while, but that's how I started out. With hustling and selling on eBay, was with garage sales. So to go back, and especially in Austin, like they have really, really good stuff. It was really, really cool, but unfortunately it started to rain. So there's a lot of different factors out there with garage sales, weather, money, things like that. So we're going to talk about that and which is better, especially if you're a newbie, garage sales or Ross finds. So we're going to talk about that today. And let me get my show notes so that we can start this show. Everybody on Instagram, thank you for joining. I think I saw Nacho Finds in there. Hustlebee was in there. And then everybody on YouTube. Swamp Picker says, "Hey, Glenn. Nick, I never find any heat at garage sales. Do you have any stories?" And I do, but a lot of it has to do with, I don't know if you guys remember like the snapback hat story, or if you guys remember the Disney statue story. That stuff, all garage sale finds, and really it's how I started when I don't have especially when I didn't have a lot of money to invest. Garage sales is where I started. So that's what I recommend for newbies. Ryan on Instagram, how's your day so far? Everything's been good. Actually, I got a haircut ready for the show. So not quite. Deadstock says Ross finds FTW. There we go. Did you guys see Aqua 8 finds at Ross this week? Some people have found those. I haven't found those yet. Jam356 says, "What's up, Glenn?" All right, so let's start into the show. Now, Ross finds versus garage sale finds, which are better? Both of them have thrill of the hunt, both of them you can make really good money on. But I have 10 different, I guess, categories, things to consider if you're a newbie. You can kind of see which is better for you. And of course, the right answer is if you can do both, then you should do both. But it really depends how good garage sales are in your area. And in Chris, the Bonafide Hustler's case, garage sales, he does extremely well. And a lot of his sales are also local, Craigslist deals, Facebook, group deals, things like that. Does really, really good for him. Garage sales for me is totally different. And there was be a lot of days where it was hit or miss. So that kind of, had a big factor in it. And then eventually Ross finds more and more and seeing those profits come in. So that happened. All right. So the first thing to consider with garage sales and Ross finds is weather. Now, this is obviously a point for Ross because weather is not an option. You just go to the store and drive to the store. Even if you wanted to go rain or snow, technically you can still go. But if you're waiting for garage sales, and in our case, it started to rain, that ended things very, very quickly. Like at 9 a.m., it already started raining. So that's obviously a point for Ross. But once it gets colder too in the wintertime, I remember Steve Rakin telling me at one point, he was like kind of getting depressed when it was being in Connecticut. It starts to snow a lot. Get depressed because he couldn't go out there for garage sales to find stuff because nobody was selling anything. And if you're highly depending on garage sales and other people to, put stuff out there for you to buy to resell, I wouldn't have that being like, the only way you can find things to resell. You have to diversify the way you're going to make money. That's not going to help you. So weather can be a real issue, especially in the fall and winter when it really gets to get cold. Now, the second factor, price. So if you're at garage sales, this is extremely great for beginners because most of your finds and most of the time you're going to be spending $1 to $5. And if you don't have a lot of capital to invest, $1 to $5 can take you a lot in garage sales if you know what you're looking for. This did really, really good for me in the very beginning. I was buying a lot of video games, sometimes jerseys here and there, but like snapback caps, things that are rarely used, even clothing, and you're not spending a whole lot of money. So that really, really helps. Now, Ross, if you don't know what you're doing, you don't know what you're looking for, you're spending $65 on shoes plus tax, $75 plus tax on shoes. You can really lose out on things like that. And you're kind of like, oh man, I'm not really going to make any money on this stuff. I spent a lot already and bad enough, I don't have a lot to invest. Now I'm kind of stuck with these, waiting for these to sell. Then you're kind of in a weird situation when it comes to price. But then again, how much money do you have to reinvest in your business? And in the beginning, for beginners like me, I didn't have a lot to spend. So price wise, I think you can really get a lot out of garage sales with spending a lot less. The next one would be, this is kind of funny, but spending money on gas and putting miles on your car. And that was one of the things that kind of frustrated me going with Chris. It's just that, especially in Austin, you're going to have to drive around the city, go through a lot to get to that point. And then sometimes when you get there, it's like they weren't even open. So I'm like, man, like we drove all the way to this point and then, oh man, they're not open. And then another one we went to, they barely had any items. They really just had like a couple of stuff in the front lawn area. And I was like, man, this sucks. Not a whole lot going on. And E-Money, his brother, had, the map on there, where to go next. When here we go driving, going through I-35. Now we're getting off here. Now we're doing this. In El Paso, it's a little bit easier because you can just take major streets. You're going through Montana, and that's like a major street for us. You can kind of just find your way, Pebble Hills, George Dieter, Lee Trevino, if you're on the east side. So that really, really helps you. You don't have to go through freeways and things like that, but you're spending money on gas, putting miles in your car to go to garage sales. So this point goes to Ross, because now you can just plan out which Ross stores are near you. Can you hit up 5 to 6 different Ross stores in your route? If you can, then obviously you have more time to source, to find things. Like Ryan says right here on Instagram, closest Ross near me about 10 to 15 minutes. And in my case, I can go through like 5 to 7 different Rosses within like 20-minute span. So that helps me to find stuff to resell instead of going back and forth, going through garage sales, trying to find the right one. It just takes a lot of time, effort, and miles on your car. So those were the first 3, and we have 6 more, but I want to go through the comments, go through the live chat. Anybody have any other questions? And going through the comments on Instagram. So Anthony resells. Luckily, all my spots are really close to my house. And Adriana, I mainly go for clearance. So that too, if you want to do some retail arbitrage, if you want to go to the Walmart, Target, stores like that, and go to clearance. Danny, garage sales, if you're on a low budget, you get better percentage. And that is exactly what we're going to talk about, which margins plays a role on that. Ross and Marshalls offer 30-day refunds, cash for everything, then anything after in-store credit. You need proof of purchase. So that's another issue we're going to talk about, which is returns and how that goes to be a factor for you in sourcing if you're a newbie. And Jam 356 found those Kobe 9 Brazil, skipped on them because they were $64.99. Kind of regretting it though. So the Kobe 9 Brazil, I did also get those too. They're still sitting in my eBay store. They haven't sold yet. $64.99 was kind of high for them. Some of them were selling like 120, 130 range. So that, I mean, I probably just have to wait that one out, but I probably wouldn't regret that buy because it's still kind of sitting for me, at least of right now. And let's see, so outstanding 31. What's a good and bad selling ranking for video games? You're talking about FBA, I'm guessing, brand new or used. Let me know. I can answer that question. Ryan says, what about thrifting? And that's a totally different, I think, I kind of wanted to go through the garage sale thing for newbies because number one, that's where I started. And then second, based off of Monday's video, going to garage sales with Chris, I wanted to kind of relate them both, and we can kind of talk about those. But thrifting is always a must if you can go through that and make money. But right now, we're just kind of comparing garage sales and Ross finds, because in that Monday video, you know, I hadn't really found anything the whole time garage sales. Everybody else, it was a little bit slower. Chris did find like a bike rack thing. He could probably make $50 out of. Everybody else, like little finds here and there. But once the garage sales ended, I just went to the nearest Ross and then found Kobe 10 lows that sell for 120 and they were $39.99. So in that case, it was like an easy find for me to resell. Chris doesn't know a lot of stuff about Ross, and he was like, yeah, you got to teach me your ways, things like that. So it'd be kind of interesting to get Chris, the bona fide hustler, in Ross. But in that case, it was an easy find for me to resell stuff. But yet we spent, you know, at least the first 2 hours and waking up early, all this stuff to go around in garage sales. And then it was just an in and out going to Ross for me and finding shoes to resell. So I don't know. But it's going to be like that off and on for everything. And Not Quite Deadstock says, the Monday video was a perfect example of why, if you have the money, Ross finds is the way to go. And Kenneth Hustleby in the live chat, which I do want to get him as a live guest, probably for next week, maybe the week after that, because I think he's a really good example as far as somebody that has money and capital to use to reinvest for Ross finds and is doing extremely well for himself. And it's like I said, 2 totally different people. If you don't have the money for it, then you probably shouldn't be at Ross. If you do have the money, you can really, really scale up like Kenneth has. And Kenneth, let us know your numbers. I think you're at what, 20,000 as far as sales go in the last, what, 30 days or 60 days? Let me know in the live chat. He's done really, really good at that. Caroline in the house live chat says hi. Let's see. It was going to rain that day that you went. Exactly. Thrifty Treasures is here. Nice. Tanya in the chat. And then Robert says, I have two Ross stores 2 miles away. So nice. And let's see. Outstanding. Yes. Used FBA. He's talking about the video games. Video games for the most part, you're really, really good. Anything that's under like 10,000 rank will sell well. And I'm trying to think anything else. Also depends if they're like vintage video games or they're for newer systems. But video games, even if they are a higher, or I guess, yeah, higher rank, and they're still going to sell well for you. Let me see. Let me go back up. Let me see, because we have a question that obviously I skipped. How do you check cleats at Ross? I always find them, but don't know how to see how much they run for. Please help. So that would go back to the video. If you can go through my channel, how to research Ross finds and checking for the numbers. So in your case, you can plug in the 9 digits on the inside tag on eBay or on Google search or something to see what kind of exact model that you have. But if you're going to go through the channel, I'll show you step by step how to do that. But if you do find cleats, that's where Ken is dominating, because cleats right now are doing extremely well, depending which ones you find. And it's been kind of dry for me as far as cleats go from Ross for me recently, but the money is definitely out there. So Kenneth, right now, 22,000 in sales last 60 days, but 14,000 in the last 31 days. And Kenneth is strictly doing Ross and Burlington finds. We're talking about shoes. He's sold some other items here and there, but a lot of it is shoes. Not Quite Deadstock says, I'm big into cleats. Any major brand you can find under 35 bucks, it's a go. Guaranteed. And that's, I do agree with his statement for sure on that. And then Adriana, I find cleats as low as $3.99 at Ross and Burlington. Those for sure are going to be the like a lot of clearance cleats that go on to super clearance. You get them for super cheap. I don't care if they are the big sizes. You still pick those up, list them on there, get them on eBay. Somebody will come around and buy those, especially if it's very low risk. And Hype Reseller Ray says to flip on Amazon or eBay. Right now we're talking about just eBay when we're talking about Ross finds. So that would just be for eBay. Let me go back to the live chat on this side. Are you in El Paso? Yes, I'm in El Paso, Texas. When are you coming to Houston? That's a good question. Man, I did have Houston on my radar, but it looks like Dallas is going to be the next one. So I don't know when I'm going to go to Houston, but Dallas is for sure. I will be somewhat near in that area. Rachel, do you think it's best to make eBay accounts that have names related to the products you sell, or is it okay just to sell any and every category on one account? If you're really, really special on that niche, like you're only going to do shoes, then you can do something like that, you know, for your eBay name. And I think that will help. But if you're looking on getting a variety of different items with clothing, not only shoes, video games, backpacks, then I would keep it more general. But I wouldn't just narrow it down to that niche if you're totally looking on getting a lot of you know, different items in there. So just something to think about. I started my eBay name, which is G Customs 41, mostly because I was selling custom McFarlane figures. So I wasn't even doing anything as far as like a specific I guess niche now, or people are like, how come your name isn't Hustler Hacks on eBay? Because I started this in 2000 or 2001 was when I signed up for eBay. So I don't have Hustler Hacks my official name or anything like that. Plus, they're probably going to notice that I am hustling out there and trying to figure out, I guess, what I'm doing and everything. So I just have my general name. I've always just kept it G Customs 41 on eBay if you want to see that. Robert, Glenn, because of you, I've made over 2,000 profit off of Ross this year. So that's awesome. Robert, congrats on that. And I know the Ross finds are out there. And of course, the unique random finds it's crazy the kind of stuff that they get, especially with the cleats like we're seeing on here. So back to Instagram. Would you do the same for Nike shoes, Puma and New Balance cleats as well? Especially if you can get them for that cheap, yes. And Adriana says, I would. I would. I've never found Puma or New Balance. I need to keep looking. So there we go. All right. So back to our, we had 10 of them. We've gone through 3. Garage sales versus Ross finds. So the next thing you got to consider, most of the stuff is new or used. Garage sales, most of the time, you're going to find used items. Ross, obviously, all of them are brand new, and that's one of the things that Ken does so well also as far as selling these things, because you're not, also, this helps you with time. You're not listing a bunch of things in your description, you know, small tear here and there, small stain here and there, things that are, you know, defects, or not only that, you're not having to go back and clean up items, wash items, make sure they're prepped up for eBay, ready to go. Brand new items will always sell better and faster on eBay and Amazon, for that fact, compared to used items. And obviously Ross, all of it brand new items. So that helps you when you're going against garage sales, which most of your items will be used. Once in a while, you will get those brand new items that people will let go for cheap, but it's not gonna happen all of the time. Our next thing we'll talk about is like availability. So in garage sale case, we're looking at weekends only, Friday and Saturday. Now you're limiting yourself to just 2 days out of the week. Ross, open every single day, most of the time at 8 a.m. Burlington opens, I think, 1 hour later. And sometimes, depending on your area, Ross closing at like 1 a.m. At least in my case, especially during the holidays, Ross closing at 1 a.m. Like, I felt really, really bad for some of those workers. Shoes, clothing, all over the floor. Unfortunately, they had to clean all that stuff up and start all over again at, sometimes, I think they might even open a little bit earlier, 7 a.m. the very next day. So, I mean, Ross availability clearly wins that one. But garage sales, the thing that kind of frustrated with me too with that, when I first started off being, you know, a rookie reseller, is that, you know, I look forward to the weekend. I was pumped. I was waiting for Friday and Saturday to come along. And then those days that you only find maybe, you know, $30 profit here or something, or maybe $50 profit for the whole weekend. I was like, man, like, this is a little bit slower. Of course, I would throw in thrift stores in there and get some more ways to find money and make money. But it just kind of sucked when you're looking forward to that whole weekend only to get a little bit of money out of it. So Ross, another point, of course, in that case. The next one would be learning curve. So if you're a newbie and you want to learn about reselling, there's this factor that comes into play with garage sales and Ross. With garage sales, it's really, really good for you to learn how to like negotiate, learn things, make quick decisions, especially if you have a little bit of money to work with. In Ross, you can take your time, look up the item, research the item, see if this is something worth buying. You're not going to get kicked out of the store. You can take your time with it. But garage sales, you're going to have to act fast. I used to look up items on eBay at garage sales, make sure it was good right in front of people. Sometimes they wouldn't ask me what I was doing. Sometimes they did. If they were going to ask me, hey, are you researching on eBay? How much is it selling for? Then I would tell them, no, I'm looking it up, you know, to see what it's, I would tell them, first off, I would look it up to see how much, if I can get it for cheaper, if it was brand new, of course, if I can get it for cheaper somewhere else. Second, I would tell them, I want to see if my brother's interested in it. So I'm texting him to see if he wants to buy this so-and-so from the garage sale. But the learning curve is a little bit different because you do have to make quick decisions on garage sales, and not everybody is good at that and might struggle with trying to look up items. So you have to really be on your feet, know what you're doing. And Ross, you can really just take your time, make sure it's a really, really good, valuable buy. So Casey Snipes, good point. At garage sales, you gotta, or you should have some knowledge going into it. And let me go back up on here. So it looks like on Instagram, people are just kind of asking what Ross is, or certain stores, things like that. Going back to the live chat on YouTube. Let me see. I'm 16 and I love shoes. So any tips for me to try to flip shoes? What stores and what style shoes or cleats? And really, shoes are just out there for everybody. Like, you don't have to just hustle cleats or sneakers. There's a huge market for women's shoes, men's shoes, dressy shoes, even slides, sandals, things like that too. So if it really just have to follow what you're into and what your niche is into, what are the things you can find in your area. Once you get that down, then I really think you can make money off of that and build off of that. Sneakerhead on the base says, what are the top 3 things you search for in Ross and Marshalls? I know shoe are one, but what else? Men's clothing will really do good at Ross. So men's clothing, obviously some of the toys, finds, kids shoes also do good if you can find some certain shoes there. Women's shoes area, which Kenneth and his wife found a bunch of those cleats. I think you can honestly make money off of every single section at Ross if you really did your homework and you find that niche that you really like. I know some people that do really, really good on women's clothing. Women's clothing do good on Poshmark or Mercari from stuff from Ross and Marshalls. I don't know a lot of women's clothing, but it's out there, and if that's your niche, then yeah, you can completely dominate that. Glenn, has that Mega Block set sold for you yet? Yeah, it did sell. I think within that it did sell that first week that I listed it. The Mega Blocks Call of Duty. Unfortunately, I haven't seen any other ones, and they might try to fake you out at Ross. If you go, you might find the Call of Duty zombie looking guy, the diner. So the diner is not the one that makes you really good money, but I've seen those out there. Let's see. I found 3 pairs of the Nike Cortez Ultra khaki green. Nice. Let us know where you found those. And Kenneth dominating went to DSW today. 10 pairs for $200. That's insane. And let's see. I found Supreme at Ross Bassett. It was a box logo, men's medium. Was that the same one that I found as far as the t-shirt? Let me know. That's GHD 849. Let's see. Casey Snipes. Yeah, I saw the diner. It's not the one to make money. You need the Nuketown. Yes, sir. And let me see. How long would you say it took you to do it full time as far as reselling? That's one thing that I really want to get to also for the channel. And that's the thing, is that when it's time to go full time, when you're making enough money on the side, or you're making more money than your actual job. Well, your full-time job, you're making that side hustle money is consistent. You're doing well, and you've been able to do it for months, maybe even a year to 2 years at a time. You have to make sure you're ready for that. And you have to make sure you have money put aside in the bank at least to survive the next 3 to 6 months, just in case something doesn't go right in the reselling world. Remember, we're depending on eBay. We're depending on Amazon. We're using their platform, and we're at their mercy. So if they want to cut any of us off at any time, they can do so. And that's something you always have to keep in mind. If eBay doesn't work out for you, for some weird reason, you get kicked off, maybe sales aren't the way they are, you have Amazon to back, you have Mercari, you have Poshmark, you have local Facebook groups, you have these things you can still make money on, and not just depending on 1 or 2 platforms, because you are at their mercy. And then Oshi Flip says, what platform is your primary source of income? Right now, it's Merch by Amazon, which it kind of just exploded, which it wasn't before. A year and a half ago, it wasn't merch by Amazon. I was really making most of my money from FBA. And then before FBA came out, I was purely doing Craigslist and eBay to flip all the stuff that I found. So right now it's merch by Amazon, making 5,000 to 7,000 profit per month from merch, and then whatever I get from YouTube, and then making money from eBay, and then um, I still work at the family business in the mornings, so I still get money from that. So I'm just trying right now. I have like 4 different incomes. Eventually, I want to add more into that, which I think the next thing that me and Yang are working for, as far as the merch by Amazon goes, will be coaching. And I've been trying to just answer as many emails as possible, but a lot of questions and a lot of coaching that people are interested in for that. So that's probably going to be in the next thing. Let me go back on here. Do you think it's harder to do reselling in big cities like where I'm from, Manhattan or NYC, instead of much less populated cities? That's a good question. And that's the thing, though, is that it's hard for me to answer because I don't live in New York or Manhattan or anything like that. But at least the people that I've seen that do live there, everybody just makes the best that they can in their area. They make the best of it. No excuses for anybody. You want to make the money you want to make. You have to pretty much hustle whatever you have in your area. And if thrift stores are working for you, even like we said, garage sales, like those work for Chris, the bona fide hustler, he's going to make the best of that. Thrifting, Ross finds, outlet finds, you have to do the best that you can with whatever you have and just pretty much go all in when it comes to that particular store or whatever it may be. So I do think it might be harder in case of maybe more competition, but in the same time, I know the bigger cities also get, I'm not going to say better items, but I've seen them get unique items that I probably would not find at my Ross or my Burlington. So I think it's just up and down for everybody, but just make the best that you can in your area. Where can I buy the stuff that you find? If you're really interested in that, you can just buy them on eBay, and that's G Customs 41. Let me see. I'm from Houston. The stores I go to most of the time don't have any good athletic shoes. Should I get into designer shoes or clothes? I would say you have to find out what niche interests you the most. And in that case, if you're into that and it seems to be doing good for you, and you're seeing that more dressy shoes are available for you at these stores, then yes, I would do that. Are you going to write a shoe guide? Probably not. I think I'm more interested in, because people talk about this all the time, passive income, putting in, guides or courses for people to watch videos over and over again. Truly, I don't think that someone can learn a whole lot very easily and pick it up and really do whatever they want to do based off of like reading guides or seeing these same videos over and over and over again. If people do need individual attention, that's how I think they can really do well. Being able to talk to somebody like-minded, a really good mindset, someone that has done it before, somebody that knows what they're doing, and then somebody that can understand the situation that you're in as far as money goes. What kind of debt are you in? Do you have a mortgage? Are you paying right now for a car? Or student loans? Like, all these things come into factors that guides and these courses aren't going to be able to ask you, because you're just another number taking these courses. So that's how I feel about that kind of stuff. Do you think it's better to resell from outlets or retailers? Both. You can mix it in. Nike outlet, great deals, or people that dominate Nike outlet sales, shoe sales, things like that on eBay, outlet to eBay sales and things like that. So can you live off of reselling from Ross with a family? And my answer is yes, because Kenneth is doing that right now. He has a wife, he has a family. They don't have kids right now, but he's doing that full time. So I would say the answer is yes. But once you have kids, I think things just kind of change from there on out. So let me see. Do you collect dress shoes? Because I found MK dress shoes at Ross before. I haven't done a whole lot of dressy shoes, but definitely the market is out there. And if that works for you and that particular niche, then I would go all in and learn as much as you can on the dressy shoes type of stuff. Let's see. I try to have 50 items listed on my eBay at all times. Have 45 items listed at the moment. Is that a good number in your opinion? I'm only in high school. I think that's really, really good. And I don't want anybody to ever downplay how many items they have listed. You know what you're capable of doing and being able to spend the time and effort on it. So right now you're at 43. Your goal is 50. Your next goal should be 60. And then you just keep building up from there. And you're just going to keep getting better and better at it. But being in high school and hustling right now, I think that's really, really good. And I only did like partial eBay selling like when I was when I was a senior into like freshman in college. I was doing like partial. But if I would have known more and more about it and hustled more back then I probably wouldn't even gone to college. But so I don't know. I mean, I think that's really good though for being in high school. Jam says, I feel like it is harder to hustle in big cities because the stores don't get as much of the high-end items. And if they do, it's very limited and someone always picks it up right away. So that's from Jam 356. Where do you live, Jam? Let me know. If your store doesn't get high-end items, that's because your Ross has high theft. If more better brand merchandise they lose, the less they'll be getting. That's kind of interesting too, because I do know a couple of like the quality control guys at Ross, and man, it is true though. There's a lot of theft, and they can only do so much. That's what's kind of interesting too. The quality control guys, you see them, they're always wearing like the black vests. They can actually only do so much from someone stealing stuff from Ross. So that's kind of interesting because I think one of them did tell me that as far as getting high-end items, because I think at one particular Ross, they had a lot of people stealing purses, a lot of the Michael Kors purses. People were stealing these. And so they started to get less and less of them at that particular location because of theft. So I think that's a really good point. That's from Hernan Muniz. So great on that. And that's what I do. It's to put laugh out loud. So that's kind of funny. All right. So we talked about the next three. Now let's talk about the last four, kind of like mini categories to talk about with garage sales against Ross finds. We talked about learning curve. That was our last one. So our next one is talking about returns, right? So at garage sales, you buy it, you keep it. That's what, that's just what happens. It's almost like Craigslist deals too. Some people might respond to you. All right, cool. This didn't work right. I'll give you a refund or something. Most of the time, you're not going to hear from that person ever again. Craigslist and or garage sales, you find it, you're done, you keep it. You know what the risk was as far as the money, how much you put in, and you have to physically see and touch the item. So the returns, you're going to keep it. Ross, like we talked about before, you do have 30 days. If that item doesn't work out for you, you can return it. And yes, returns are kind of frowned upon, especially if you're doing it over and over and over again. But, you can return it though. So you can learn a little bit more about that compared to garage sales. You're just going to keep it there. And if it turns into your death pile, well, then so be it. And Chris, thanks. Just subscribe to your channel. You are a wealth of knowledge. I appreciate that. Thanks for subscribing. And let me see, go to the next one. Now we can talk about margins. Garage sales, low, you're buying low and you're more than likely selling high. You also have the ability to negotiate. If you don't want to pay, $40 for that Disney statue that I did find that one time, then I can offer $20, or they can counter offer. So you are learning more, you are negotiating. Also, what you can do, of course, with garage sales, you can buy in bulk. And this really helps you when you break down your sales and fees and profits and all of that. Now you're going into a totally different ball game. Garage sales do win this one. because your margins, I truly believe, are a lot higher, especially if you're buying in bulk, you're negotiating, you're learning all of that stuff. Then you can get things for a way better deal. Unlike Ross and other retailers, other stores, you are paying whatever whatever the price is. You could probably negotiate if maybe something has like a stain or something is a little damaged. You can probably get 10% off, 20% off, something like that. But for the most part, you are spending the price that they want on there. So I do think margins do help in that case. But also comes into play though with Ross. If you're doing like $29.99 cleats and selling them for $130, I mean, your margin on there is also extremely high. So I guess it just depends on the item in both cases, but I do like the garage sales, being able to negotiate. I think that if you're really, really good at that and you can buy in bulk, I think you can really do a lot of damage when it comes to that. So we got 2 left. Next one, rarity of items. Garage sales. You can find rare records, old school and vintage finds that are going to be a lot harder to find down the road. You're not going to find that kind of stuff at Ross. So, of course, garage sales, that's where the thrill of the hunt comes in for them. Thrill of the hunt for Ross is totally different because you want to find stuff. Usually Ross gets stuff that is out of season. Maybe it came out last year. Maybe it came out 6 to 8 months ago. Now Ross is getting those kind of items. So those rare items do come back into cycle, like that Supreme North Face shirt. So those are harder to find. They're super rare now that it comes into play, and then you can make the money that you want from it. So I think those are kind of even because I do think the rarity of items, both of them do have their own uniqueness to it. But with garage sales, one of the interesting stories was like Golden Finger Picker at the reseller rally ended up finding an extremely rare Beatles record that, oh man, how much did he sell it for? I don't remember. I don't know if it was, I don't remember if it was $15,000 or, I know it was extremely high though. And it was 5 figures of what he sold it for. So, something like that at a garage sale, I mean, you just never know. Before we get into the last one, let me go back up to some of these. Let's see. Mega says, I have a Ross near me, but they have nothing. I normally look for with tech on it. Let's see, even looking for my phone and then see. Do you know Connor owns fast food on YouTube? He does reselling too. I don't, but now I can look him up. Caroline, your pile of shoes is growing behind you. I know. I got to list quite a bit of stuff. And not only that, this stuff here, which I did kind of sell that, but now that's kind of doing its own thing too. All right, so the last one. And this is probably the biggest one from all 10 of them. Consistency. This is how you grow your business, scale your business. Can you repeatedly find items to resell on a consistent basis and make the money that you want to make from these places, garage sales and Ross? Here's the bad part from both of them. You are depending on people in your area for garage sales, and in Ross, you're depending on a chain store, department store in your area to repeatedly get items to resell. So we're depending on things, and that's the kind of thing that you don't. I mean, it's really, really tough. But that's the game that we're in, right? I mean, you have to be consistent at it and make the money you want. But if it's not there and something happens, you have to have a backup plan. If you're kicked off of eBay, kicked off of Amazon, those type of things, or maybe your Ross in your area closed down, maybe they're not getting those items that they used to get. Maybe competition is higher now. Garage sales, it can be the same thing. Maybe people aren't selling as much anymore. Maybe the area isn't that great. Maybe we talk about weather with it being cold. So consistently consistency is key. Can you do it? Whatever you can do to scale up, you're going to have to take advantage of that. So Chris says you have to hustle. Casey Snipes, is that Winston from Ghostbusters behind you? Yes. That's actually all 4 of them, but you can't see because of the light. Huge Ghostbuster fan. Let me go back up. Let's see, you got to go. Feel free to ask any questions. Been doing the resell for a couple of months, made good sales, all about the research. I do agree on that. And go on here. Do you do everything by yourself? Do you feel you'll need more people to help your business soon? I feel overwhelmed already from just selling the video games recently. And right now I do everything by myself. I do love selling on Merch by Amazon. I do love selling on eBay. I do love making YouTube videos. So I'm doing things on my own right now, but it won't surprise me that the day will have to come where I figure that out as far as like hiring people to help me in different things. Because we're talking about listing on eBay and taking pictures. We're also talking about going out there and sourcing. We're talking about creating designs and t-shirts for Merch by Amazon. We're talking about recording and editing and uploading videos for YouTube. So it's a lot of work. I enjoy doing all of it. But there probably will get to a point where it does take its toll on me. But there we go to answer your question. And let me go back up. And let me see. I found some Air Max 2015 at Goodwill, $15. I have to clean them. Nice. That's from Caroline. My community throws away very expensive things. That's kind of funny. What size sneakers sell the most? To answer that question, if you're going through men's sneakers, I would go through sizes 9, 10, and 11. They do really, really good. But I wouldn't also skip over 12 and 13. Those might sit a little bit longer, but for the most part, sizes 9, 10, and 11 do really, really good for men's shoes at least. And let's see, how long do you leave items listed if they aren't selling? That's a tough question. I guess when it comes to shoes, I really want them to sell within 2 months or so. I'm willing to stick it out and wait it out because, I mean, I already bought them. I'm waiting on there. And I guess that's what kind of helps though with having different incomes and diversifying the platforms, because if you're just waiting on eBay and waiting for them to sell, then that's just going to take its toll, take its time, and you're going to be like, oh man, these haven't sold yet. So in that case, you might want to list on a Mercari. You might want to list on Craigslist, local Facebook groups, OfferUp. The more platforms you have these things listed on there, that will sell quicker. That will help you. But that's probably what I would do instead of just waiting for the one platform and waiting for those to sell for you. And let me see. How high is the ceiling of success when it comes to reselling? Can people make 6 figures off that business? Definitely, they can make 6 figures off the business. And going back to Chris on Instagram, yes, you have to hustle. That's going to be extremely hard work to get to the 6-figure business and the income. But you'd have to set your goals as far as like, how much money do I have to make per day and per week and per month, and stay extremely strict to that. You know, if you want to make $250 per day of profit, then you better be sourcing enough to make $250 per day of each of those. And you'd have to really break it down per day. You'd have to be doing a lot. And most of the time, the people that do, 6 figures probably have help to help them do that, to list and to have a full inventory, a full room, closet, something where they can put all of this stuff in, because it is going to build up over time. How you know how often Ross restocks shoes? I don't, but more than likely every single week they're going to get something new. They get things. Most of the time during the week is the best time to go. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. I went today. I got a couple of good things that you'll see later on in the videos, but during the week always does well. So I would go for that. Let me see. Daniel found Mercurial's Superfly 4 for $30 at Ross. Gem 356. What do you look for in garage sales? And that's a tough call, because you're going to have to go through whatever you know in your specific niche. In Chris's case, He also has, I don't know if you guys know this, but Chris also has a what is it called? Not a store, but like a vintage booth that he can also sell stuff on there. So he doesn't just depend just on eBay. He does some cross listing, and that helps him on there. But he knows what sells well in his booth in Austin and what works for that. So of course in Austin, hipsters and or hippies and or vintage market, that works for him. So he knows what to kind of source for when it comes to that stuff. So that's a kind of a tough question, because I think anything and everything can sell if it's the right niche, the right item, and you get things for the right price. But you have to know what you know and what you've learned in the reselling business and what your niche is. And Rachel, you said selling on many platforms earlier. Is there a risk involved in doing that? Say one person bought it on eBay and another Amazon while you were sleeping. So yes, there is risk with that. It's only happened one time, to where I sold it on Etsy, and then immediately after it sold it on eBay. There is a an app coming out. We met them at the reseller rally. I totally forgot their name though, but they are coming out with an app that you can cross list on different platforms, and as soon as that item sells, it immediately takes it off from another platform. I'll have to give you guys a name on that, but I totally forgot what it was called. But they're building that, and I'm pretty sure that'll be up pretty soon. Have you had any luck selling on other apps like Let Go or OfferUp? OfferUp, yes, that has done pretty good, but you will get a lot of low ballers. That's just part of the game anyway. But OfferUp has seemed to be doing a lot better compared to Craigslist. Now it's almost like Craigslist has kind of been falling off a little bit more and more, also because people obviously want to feel safe. So that comes into play. But OfferUp has been doing pretty good. And Adriana says, yes, please, I cross post. So nice. And so that was all 10. We can review all those in a minute. But one last question. Anybody in the live chat and also watching on Instagram, I don't know if you guys remember this video on my channel where I hid cleats at Ross because the line was super long. And then I went back to go find them to resell them, buy them to resell them. That video came out maybe like 6 months ago. While I was in Austin, I got like random comments on that video, more and more. And I was like, man, what's going on? So people that had never seen my channel before, never watched any other videos, were all of a sudden getting directed to this one video. And if you're watching this, or you watched other videos because of that one video, please let me know how you even found that video, if it was like recommended to you on the side, something. But for some reason, YouTube's been pushing out that one random video. No complaining here. I'm just wondering how people, or why they're finding it now, or what happened. So that video is at like 200,000 hits now. And it's just a completely random Ross cleat video out of all these videos that ended up making. So let me know if you do. All right, all 10. We talked about the weather being an issue for garage sales, but not for Ross. The next one was price wise. You know, going low, $1 to $5 at garage sales. Garage sales kind of won that battle. The next one, spending money on gas, putting miles on your car. Ross won that one because you're not going to do that for Ross finds. New or used, Ross items are all new. That helps you compared to used items. Our next one, we talked about availability. Ross is open every single day. Sometimes they close at 1 a.m. Instead of garage sales, you're depending on weekends only. Learning curve, let me see, is we talk about garage sales and Ross, and being in Ross, you have the time to research. Garage sales, you must make quick decisions. Returns, you can't return anything at garage sales or Craigslist buys. You buy what you keep, those type of things. Ross, you can return your item in 30 days. We talk about high margins. We thought garage sales kind of helped out in that case because you can negotiate, you can buy in bulk. Compared to Ross, you're just buying whatever their sticker price is. Rarity of items, we thought both of them actually did pretty good. You can find rare records and vintage items at garage sales. And then Ross, you can find some older finds that for some weird reason Ross ended up getting later on. And last, we talk about being consistent in both finding garage sales and Ross finds. And garage sales, you're kind of depending on people in your area. And then Ross, you're depending on a chain store in your area. So consistency is kind of an issue there, but you got to find out what works for you. So that was all 10 categories, issues, I guess, that I could think of for Ross finds versus garage sales. So Luke says, hey, G-Man, what videos has hit 200K? That was the Ross. I hid Ross sneakers or something like that. I got to find that one. But yeah, that one just came out, I guess randomly, people kind of doing that. Green Granite Resell says, I get some of your old videos pop when I go to your channel, like a recommendation. So thanks for that. In Casey Snipes probably got mentioned on one of those videos, all those views. I don't know, maybe, but that seems like extremely high YouTuber to get. I found you by Googling buying at Ross and selling on eBay. That's nice. And now that kind of helps me too. Jam, you're going viral. Don't forget about us when you're making that big baller YouTube money. I wish, but I'm always going to be here. I want to help out the people, especially the ones struggling like the way I did. And let's see, why are some vintage sports specialty starter caps listed so expensive on eBay and other sellers selling it for 30 to 40 bucks? That's just the marketplace. Things come and go. People resell or try to resell things extremely high. Next thing you know, it's stuck on there for a long time. And let me see, and go back down. Let's see. You can return anything if armed. That's pretty funny. It's cleat season. There's a little kid that only does Marshall's cleats finds and could have linked to your video. That might be Cleatstagram, I think, on YouTube. Only does cleats and finds awesome cleats to keep and or resell. Like that is crazy. Finds a lot of good cleats. Zach, anyone on here know of any good YouTubers other than Glenn who does Ross finds? I found none that I like besides Glenn's videos. I like that. Let's see. That's from Zach. I guess the only other one would be Legit Looks for Life. Tim. He has a bunch of subscribers, but he doesn't really do a lot of reselling. He mostly finds stuff for like collection and stuff like that. So I'm gonna be meeting up with him on August 25th or something. Yeah, I'm gonna be meeting up with him. So we're gonna do a collab video on Ross, and I think we're also gonna try to go to one of the swap meets, San Antonio swap meets, because I really want to try to find something there. And reminder, everybody, Green Granny Resell. I wanted to make sure I let you know too. Anybody else, if you haven't already, if you're in Phoenix, you're in El Paso, you're in Dallas, please hustlerhacks.com/meetup. You can sign up, your name, last name, your email address. You're not doing anything as far as spending money wise. I just want to get a head count as far as like building up a pretty cool meetup in those 3 areas. So if you can sign up, that really helps me out to figure out what I want to do for the meetup. So hustlerhacks.com/meetup is that. And Legit, it says, Zach says Legit has way too much clickbait. And yeah, some of them are a little clickbaity, but he does a lot of just other stuff too. So instead of just Ross stuff, but it's kind of a mixture in there. And Josh says, come to Raleigh. I know a lot of different things. I'm actually going to go to Denver. If you're in Denver, Colorado, I will be there in October. Yeah, October. So Denver area, you let me know too. So that's it. We talked about all 10 of them. Hope you guys liked this little back and forth with Ross Find and garage sales. I will get Kenneth Hustleby on a live show, and we can answer questions, go back and forth. He is one of the prime examples of starting off as a newbie with Ross Finds and making really good money. And he also had some money to invest, of course, to reinvest into his business. But that's what he's focusing on, and really doing really good on Ross Finds and Burlington Finds and things like that. So we will get him soon on the show. Thanks again, Caroline and Josh and Jam356, everybody else in the live chat participating in this show. And thank you everybody else on Instagram. So thanks guys again. And we'll see you guys this Friday. Ross Finds of the Week. It's a special Austin edition and what I found. Thanks for watching. Go out and get it.